Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is JD McCabe, and I hope I pronounced it right. Hello and welcome to the show.
Caroline, thank you for having me, and you pronounced it just perfectly. So thank you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. So you told me you are streaming from or giving me your interview from South Carolina.
Correct. Yeah. The
Wow.
Charleston,
Now
South. Hey, I moved down here 4 years ago today.
Oh, that's amazing. And you are the author of the book, The Third Gift.
Danced with the devil and her mother. Yeah.
Oh, can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, I'm a first-time author, and the book is really about my unimaginable divorce after being, I would say, happily married in quotations, as I knew happiness at the time, for about 17 years, and then all hell broke loose. So I survived arsenic poisoning. I survived, a 9-day stay in a psychiatric facility where I was involuntarily committed. Long story short, Caroline, everything that my now ex-wife was accusing me of doing, from infidelity to drug addiction to you name it, she was actually doing. So it was a classic example of projection, gaslighting, and I discovered all of it through The Third Gift, which is the title of the book. The first two gifts are my kids, my two kids, my son Billy, my daughter Katie. The third gift was her accusation that I gave her a sexually transmitted disease.
Mhm.
So that accusation is what led to my discovery of all her deception and betrayal, and ultimately would set me free emotionally. But the book is a compilation of my journey, not only through the psychiatric facility, but our journey through the court system, where she had filed, domestic violence charges against me, and then our alimony trial. And so it was a long, dark journey for about 5 years. But life is good now. Life is good
Yeah,
now.
life is good. I'm so happy to hear this. Thank you for sharing. And may I ask, how old are your kids?
My kids now are 25 and 29. Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I
And
couldn't
when
couldn't be
that
prouder
happened,
of them for the choices, the positive choices that they've made, in spite of, the
Mhm.
difficult situations they endured. And I know your podcast is all about inspiration, right? And I would
Yes.
say my two kids, they don't know it. They do know it now. I've shared it with them, but they brought me a tremendous amount of inspiration, and they gave me strength on days when I didn't think I could keep going. So
Mm.
I kept going because I knew that they needed me, and I knew the responsibilities that I had yet to fulfill with them as a parent.
Yes, definitely. Our kids need us. Yes. Thank you
Yes.
for mentioning it. And is it true? The podcast is about inspiration and what inspires you. And we learned what inspired you to write the book, The Third Gift. And now, what else is inspiring for you?
Yeah, the other inspiration for me, and the reason, the book has been out for about 3.5 years or so, and my inspiration to continue to promote the book and to share the message is to, for anybody that's gone or is going through or has gone through difficult times, is for them to recognize that adversity is a gift.
Mm.
And pain, there is purpose within pain. You have to find it, and rely on the man above to help guide you through it and let you know what the purpose is. But I'm inspired to share the story to let folks know that they can make it. They can make it to the other side, and they can do so with a renewed sense of purpose, and ultimately with a renewed sense of peace. Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's so important. Peace of mind, peace within you, within ourselves, because the outside world is just a reflection. As you said, projection. You said this. And who inspires you?
Who inspired me the most? I mean, and again, as I've listened to a couple of your episodes, I would say, rest their souls, but my parents were my inspiration. In particular, my mom had a very difficult childhood. She lost both of her parents at the age of 16, 3 weeks apart. There were some dark circumstances behind the loss of her father and ultimately her mother. But the inspiration I got from both of my parents was a sense of selflessness.
Mhm.
They raised 9 kids, 6 boys and 3 girls, and they did so, again, as I said, very selflessly. We didn't get everything that we wanted, but we had everything that we needed.
Oh, yes.
And they had tremendous, tremendous emotional strength and a sense of pride. And yeah, they absolutely were my inspiration. And I, even though my father wasn't well as I was going through my situation, I emotionally I leaned on both of my parents for for support. And again, they were in addition to my family and my kids, they were the reason why I kept going through a very dark journey.
Mhm. Yeah. Were you able to share this with your family? Like, did you ask for support?
I did, and this is one thing that's I
Mm,
want to share with your listeners. For anybody that's going through a difficult time, please
mm,
reach out to somebody. Do not go it alone. Do not isolate yourself. That was the mistake I made for the first 9 months. I told nobody about what was going on, but ultimately, a couple of my brothers got involved when I was in the psychiatric facility. My father was struggling with dementia, so I don't think he understood what was going on. And I leaned on my mom a little bit, but primarily my brothers are the ones that were there for me, and then friends and a couple of select colleagues that I worked with that noticed that significant changes within myself. And I mean, as a result of the arsenic poisoning, which I didn't discover until we had separated for about a year, I lost significant amounts of weight. And then, of course, the stress and the anxiety of going through a divorce added additional weight loss. But folks became concerned. There were many folks that didn't know what was going on, that thought I was dying of cancer or some type of illness. So ultimately, I had a tremendous amount of support from my family and from a few select friends as I went through it. But the message again being, find
mhm,
somebody
mhm,
that can help reground you in objectivity. So I isolated myself. I allowed her and her mother to really essentially hollow me out and break me down, which is what they do, which is what folks that are narcissistic and that have
mhm,
personality disorders,
mhm,
that's exactly what they do. So, and then
mhm,
ultimately, God intervened with her accusation that I gave her a sexually transmitted disease, because it opened up my mind to the fact that, oh, okay, the demise of our marriage was caused by all of her deception and betrayal.
oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yes, I understand, and I also wanted to introduce and to ask you for the word, or was she narcissist, or yeah, the word was missing when you were talking about the gaslighting, the fact, and I because I had a podcast interview with the coach for I don't know how to call it, but how to deal with narcissism in general.
Mm.
Or yes, okay. It's in the German podcast, by the way. You might not understand it. Sorry for that. Yeah. Okay, my next question is, how do you inspire other people?
Well, I mean, and I've heard you ask some of your other guests that. I hope that I've inspired, and I know that I've inspired from just some of the messages I receive on social media. I know that I've inspired other folks that are going through difficult times to keep going. And the fact that they see where I'm at today, they recognize that there's opportunities for themselves as well. Interestingly, Caroline, there were at least 5 different people that have reached out to me, that have thanked me for writing the book, because they discovered that their father, in all cases, it was a father that was being poisoned by their new ex, or by their new wives, their stepmothers. They had
Mhm,
noticed some health issues with their fathers and couldn't figure out what was going on. And as they investigated it, they discovered that there was some nefarious stuff going on between their stepmother and their fathers. So, and then I think hopefully the other way that I inspire folks is just through my faith,
Mm.
and through just the strength that I've received from the man above by putting excellent people in my life to support me. So I hope that I've offered some folks some inspiration. And then I guess finally, through any of the proceeds from the sale of the book are going to support various nonprofits. And so I'm looking to give back to others, trying to do some good with an awful situation.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And once again, I want to emphasize what you said before about support and asking for help. Help, not being ashamed or something. Just ask for help. Yes, this is
Correct.
important, I think. And
Absolutely.
yes, you are inspiring. I feel it already. You are inspiring me. Yes, can I
Well,
say this?
thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank
of
you for
course.
thank you
And the
for that.
book, I love that you said the profits go into how do you call it, into charity?
Nonprofits, yeah, charitable
Mhm.
organizations. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yes. So people, please, at this point, get the book, The Third Gift. It's important, by JD McCabe. Wow, we learned this. Amazing. From South Carolina. I have to practice. It's in my name also, Caroline, and I love it. My next question is, what are your gifts and talents?
Oh man, I think my gifts and talents. I think one of the gifts that I have is the gift of forgiveness. I was able to quickly forgive her and her mother for all that they've. I mean, they not only tried to kill me, but when she couldn't kill me, she tried to destroy me emotionally. And so I think the gift of forgiveness and the gift of emotional strength that again I get from both of my parents, just from the hardships that they went through. And then third, I've always, as a kid, I've always been curious by nature. So I would say that I have a high learning agility. I love to learn. I love to understand what makes people tick and why things happen the way they happen. And I've just got a high degree of curiosity, which again, that continues to fuel me and motivate me in my later years in life, is to just continue to keep learning. There's so much that I don't know that I want to continue to learn. And a big learning for me was writing the book and beginning to understand the world of publishing and the world of marketing a book, and getting somewhat adept with utilization of social media. I had not been on any social media platforms prior to the book coming out. So again, my learning agility has served me well as I've ventured into this new little business that I have around the book. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. You are new to social media.
I am fair. I've been on social media for the last 3, 4 years, but I've been on
Hmm.
there primarily to promote the book and to share my story. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for doing this and for sharing as well on this podcast.
You are
And my
very
next
welcome.
question is, what is your goal for 2024?
My goal for 2024 would be, in addition to the book, I work a full time job. So continue to excel at my full time job. 3 or 4 more speaking engagements. So I've done a few speaking engagements. I've done a speaking engagement of, last year at a Marine Corps base in California, Barstow, California. So I hope to do some more speaking and
Mhm.
obviously continue to promote the book and continue to drive book sales so that I can fund additional charitable organizations.
Okay, I just had a thought. I had to write it down because I'm also a great connector and I love to connect people. This is also what this podcast is about, to yeah, to find out the skills or the needs or wants of the people and then to connect the people. I just had an idea of whom you connect you with
Okay.
whom you connect you. And I will do this afterwards. I had an idea because you mentioned speaker events. So please reach out also, dear listener, to get into contact. And I have one last question. This has something to do with it, but I can ask, if people reach out to you after listening to this episode, what can they help you with? These are the speaker events, and what can you offer?
What I'd be happy to offer again is any sales of the book that are generated through my appearance here or through any connections that you may help me to make is I'm prepared to offer a significant portion of the proceeds to give to some charitable organization, whether it's an organization that's near and dear to that individual's heart or whatever the case may be. But if it's just an individual purchase, again, my commitment is to give up upwards of 50% of the proceeds from the book to that charitable organization of their choice. Yeah. And if they're interested in buying, I'd be happy to sign a copy of the book for them. Now, given that you're in Germany, I don't know what kind of shipping costs we would entail, but any books that I've signed, I pay for the shipping as well. I'll sign it and I pay for the shipping. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you so much. This is great. I love signed books. Maybe you did not know this. I'm sort of collecting autographed and dedicate with dedication in it when it says for Caroline or whatever it is. Thank you so much. Wow,
You're,
for this
you're,
interview.
you're very welcome. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you.
Wow, and see you in the next episode.